Welcome back. Let's get the conversation started on about this Ponzi scheme. I'm sure you've heard about the CBEX and people literally crying that they've lost their money. What played out, we understand that at some point people cannot withdraw their money, and that raised an alarm. And right now, people are literally just helpless. I understand that a fee is being asked for some people to get their monies out between $100 and $200, depending on the amount you have within that scheme. But the question is, if you have some money there, and I need a fee, if I have money, just, do the deduction and give me back my money. But the SEC, which is the regulator of some of this space, has actually said they are not registered with Nigeria, and so to them, it's a Ponzi scheme. Well, let's talk to the EFCC, which is literally an anti-graft agency that watches this space, to find out exactly their position on this issue. We've been joined by the spokesperson of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Mr. Dele Oyewale. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Mr. Oyewale, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on the program.
Okay, let me start with asking you, have you been receiving calls? Have you been receiving concerns? What exactly has been the situation as far as your office is concerned with this latest crash of CBEX, as they call it, or the Ponzi scheme as they refer to it? Has there been any reporting to the EFCC in that sense, and what is the EFCC doing in terms of response? Let's begin from there.
Expectedly, we've been receiving quite a number of calls from, Nigerians from all walks of life, from the media, from some of the victims, and from those who are not yet victims and who want to be properly educated about what can be done, to afford this kind of thing. So you should expect that people will be calling from all parts of the country, trying to figure out what the Commission is doing, whether there is any remedy anywhere, and whether there will be any punitive action that the Commission would take, maybe against those actors, or possibly even some of the victims. So we have been having calls.
What is the response officially now? What are you doing? If you've been getting calls, are you swinging into action? Are you investigating to ensure people get redressed, the ones that have been swindled now, as it seems?
Well, we were not waiting for Nigerians to call us before we started our work. Of course, we have been working. We were not beaten by what actually happened. Our dragnet is wide. Our intelligence is very effective. And we were tracking that digital trading platform. We were tracking it. We profiled quite a number of things concerning, the platform. You will recall that March 11 this year, the executive chairman of the EFCC, Mr. Olukoyede, had cause to instruct us to alert Nigerians about 58 Ponzi scheme companies. We came out with a list. So that showed that we are proactive and we have our hands on what is happening. So concerning this investing, we were on it. It's not that we didn't know. And, we've been alerting Nigerians about ways and means how to separate themselves from this kind of shenanigans. So before the calls came, we were working. While the calls are coming, we are working. And even after the calls, we are still working. But the essential thing is that, of course, we are going to discuss some of the things that Nigerians should be looking out for, concerning this kind of investment schemes and all of that. But I can assure you that all of the profiling that we need to do, contacts that we need to make, some collaborative engagement that we need to make, we're already doing that. We're in contact with Interpol, we're in contact with many of our development partners, and Nigerians will know that the EFCC, as usual, is on top of the matter, and we are going to come out with very, very impressive reports.
So the ISA 2025 law has, made it illegal for forex platforms, digital platforms, to operate without registration with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Surely that must also go some way to empower the EFCC to now go definitively after the, forex platforms, digital platforms who are trading without registration. And in fact, these Ponzi schemes as well. Please elaborate more on how that has empowered the Commission, to go after them.
The Investment and Security Act 2025, the ISA as we know it, is a very, very important, well-conceived and responsive act of the government to check this kind of practice. What the act is seeking to do is to regulate the licensing, the governance, the compliance of all of these actors to ensure that our laws are not tampered with. Now, with the act now, it is a criminal thing to engage in any digital trading activity without being licensed, without complying with all the extant laws. Any form of exchange, any form of business engagement must conform with the act. And that has actually empowered us as a commission, because we know that with the ISA 2025, it's so easy for us. If you are involved in some kind of engagement, you are not licensed and you are not compliant with extant laws. It's a straight thing. We will act accordingly, and we'll get such people, we'll bring them to justice. But you see, be it as it may, I think the Nigerians also need to know that, yes, we are gaining strength with the ISA, but there is also need for public vigilance, because there are a lot of things that go with this Ponzi scheme thing. There are a lot of things that go with it. So Nigerians also need to be very, very vigilant. And this avaricious tendency, this get rich by all means tendency, is also something that we need to talk about. Because it is not enough for anyone to say that, okay, I have this, and if you try to come along, we are going to offer you this. There is need to critically look at some very basic indices, before you go into any investment or any business engagement. For example, the returns on investment that all of these Ponzi scheme people are parading, they are not only unrealistic, they are at variance with our laws, with the existing system in Nigeria. We know that every business concern, you declare your profit either quarterly, annually, or biannually, But if somebody says that, bring your money, I'm going to give you a return in 30 days, that is not realistic. It's just not pragmatic, Or somebody says that, okay, if you bring your money, we are going to give you 100% return on investment. That's not possible. Even we know that the prevailing interest rate in Nigeria is 27.5. So how will somebody give you 100% return on investment in 30 days? Come to think about it. So the ISA is very good, and of course we are working with it. And there are other laws. There are other laws that are involved in this matter. But the essential thing is that it is not too good for Nigerians to be falling victim to this kind of arrangement when we have a lot of enlightenment programs that we have been doing. A lot of things that we have been doing. You cannot say that, okay, I want to go into an investment without looking at certain framework and modalities. There are some legal frameworks, that really undergird whatever we do about investment. So if you want to go into any investment, you must look at, okay, this fellow that are parading this, how compliant are they with the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022? How compliant are they with the Process of Crime Act? How compliant are they with the Terrorism Financing Act? Very, very important. Now, if they are operating at variance with all of these laws, you know that it is just a matter of time before problem will come. So there are certain legal frameworks that must be looked into before you go into any investment.
Okay.
You know, so the ISA is one out of many defenses that we have now against Ponzi scheme activities.
All right.
And Nigerians need to come along with regulatory agencies to ensure that their hard-earned money, you know, it's just not frittered away, it's not lost that way.
All right, Mr. Ayewale, great point you've raised. So 2 questions in one. What can the EFCC and other regulators do to make sure they stop these schemes even before it crashes? Because I want to believe the EFCC and other regulators were aware of what was going on, seeing that it's not in tandem with our extant laws, whichever you want to cite, whether it's ISA and the other one. Why couldn't the EFCC and the rest, you know, raiding on these people to stop them from, you know, duping Nigerians? On the other hand,
now,
just a moment, sir. In addition to that, maybe you highlight some of the ways Nigerians can know and spot a Ponzi scheme, because that's important. Guardian did a great job on page 6 of their paper, but you can add your list as well.
Okay, well, we cannot lay any blame on the EFCC concerning this CBEX thing. I'm sure we know that business venture is a Chinese digital trading company with no jurisdictional link with Nigeria. Not jurisdiction. All these area offices that people are saying, okay, are doing in Ibadan, they have one office there in some other location. They are not practical offices. They are not functional offices. The entire thing is entirely digital. It's online. And it has no jurisdictional link of whatsoever with Nigeria. So something that has no jurisdictional link with us, and we have been warning Nigerians against all this kind of criminal engagement online. Now, so what will you expect the EFCC to do? We have given empowerment, we have given enlightenment, we have given public awareness, we have raised intelligence. You know, it is to the credit of the EFCC chairman that he came forward to say that there are 58 companies that Nigerians are patronizing, that they should no longer patronize. He came forward, he said, let the public know. And we brought it to the public domain. So if the commission is as proactive as that, then the rest is for the people concerned, you know, to be more vigilant and to ensure that they guide their investment in line with the information that is available.
Just to put it in context, Mr. Ayewale, pardon me, the notice that was put out in March, which you referred to, didn't have CBEX or PCEX, because I know there are a couple of them. It didn't have it on that list. The ones you have on that list, Welles, Kingdom, Capital, Bethsaida, and the rest. So when you say that, yes, the EFCC was proactive, absolutely for those ones, but CBEX was not here. So wouldn't it have been proactive to have put out a statement, a follow-up saying, well, we have identified if indeed you did CBEX. The reason,
but
my question is, most importantly, should the people forget about recovering their money since the EFCC doesn't have jurisdiction and maybe look onto God at this point now? You can answer both.
No, certainly no. Certainly no. Certainly no. See, it will be very, very irresponsible and unprofessional of the EFCC to say that, oh, you have lost your money, there is nothing the commission can do about it. No, certainly no. We're already working with Interpol, and we're already working with our international development agencies to ensure that these people are brought to book. Investors, they are going to get their money back. And we're already working on that. But everything I'm saying is that this kind of thing could have been averted. But be it as it may, it was not averted. We are not going to throw our hands out helplessly and say that, no, there's nothing the EFCC can do about it. No, 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 no. We are more responsible, we are more professional than that. So we have spread out our wings. We are talking to Interpol, we are talking to all the necessary agencies across the world to be able to bring all the actors. We are going to bring them to book. And investors, they are going to have their money back. It might not be in the short term, but I can assure you that the Commission, as the leading anti-corruption agency in Nigeria, is not going to allow investors to just lose their money like that and say that, no, because they are not compliant with this. No, 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 no. Escapism, is not a solution to any problem. We are going to do our work. But I'm just saying that to avert future occurrence of this kind of thing, there are some things that Nigerians also need to pay attention to. But at least there is a shaft of light at the end of the tunnel. The Commission is going to do its work, and we are going to bring all the actors to book.
Okay, that seems like a glimmer of hope, because a lot of people have given up. Now the EFCC is assuring that they will do their work, maybe not in the short term. So the people that have invested, whether rightly or wrongly, will look up and hold you accountable for what you just said. Dele Oyewale is the spokesperson of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll switch gears from Ponzi scheme issues to issues around food security. Join us in just a moment. We'll be right back.
Justice for primarily, but there's a secondary layer to it which also affects life, and that's the effect on agriculture. A lot of the communities attacked have either farmers or people who deal in livestock, living there. So what becomes of their farms, what becomes of their livestock, and eventually what becomes of the people who rely on this, either for business or for living. When you look at the crisis we have seen so far, how big an effect is it having on food in Nigeria for you?
Yeah, it is really pathetic that at this present time and in this millennium, when agriculture is being bedeviled and attacked by the climatic factors and other shocks that surrounds it globally, in our country today, agriculture has been consumed by the activities of sector people in the country that we would describe as three factors, three engagements. One, militants that you describe as militant headers, activities of insurgency, and banditry. Now, you look at Nigeria. We started with insurgency in the northeast as it spread to northwest, embracing banditry. By this time, the north central, where we describe as middle belt, we are, bridging the gap of the effect of these activities on food supply chain. Before we could say Jack, it became a problem of militant headers, marauding militant headers, ravaging, destroying villages and farm areas. As it is today, there is serious disruption in the agricultural activities and displacement of farmers, such that farmers have lost their farmland and livelihood in a way that they cannot again produce. They could not again go to their farm. More also, the problem becomes too complex when the activities of these insurgents and militant headers go ahead to destroy not only the irrigation channels and infrastructure, but they block access to markets, making it difficult for even the farmers that are there to produce to take their farm produce to market. What are the effects on our economy, on our Nigeria, on our nation? The economic fallout is what we are witnessing today, which is severe threats, severe food crisis. And in 2023, the National Assembly enacted the Food Rights Act, which makes it mandatory and possible for government to ensure that food production and access is made possible for the nations. As it stands today, and as we are discussing today, the economic fallout of these activities of the militant headers and marauding herdsmen and bandits ravaging from the northeast down to northwest, and as it stands now, moving along the middle belt from Plateau to Benue and advancing towards the bricks of Enugu and Benue State is a big threat. It's an understatement for us to just say that there is food crisis, or that the food is in danger, or famine is in danger in Nigeria, or on fire. I think we are at war. And I think as it stands now, we have to deploy every mechanism that same countries put in place when they're at war to ensure that this menace is tackled and brought to bear.
It's a grim
Let me
picture.
give you, for example. Before the insurgents in the northeast, Borno was one of the leading producers of wheat. But as it stands today, more than 400 acres of land has been abandoned in terms of wheat production, bringing down production of wheat to less than 30%, and then forcing the country to rely on importation of agricultural importation. And this will now put more burden on our import balance, which also affects our economic and trade balance. There is every need for this government to declare a state of emergency in food crisis in agriculture as it stands now, because if something is not done between now and the near future, there will be ravaging hunger and people will be dying of hunger in this country.
And speaking of what...
This insecurity that is
if I may come in there,
agricultural productivity is one aspect.
Yeah, Professor, speaking of what should be done or what had been done in the past, the president recently declared a state of emergency on agriculture, in fact, the second state of emergency in the last 2 years. This was at the Africa Regional Conference on Irrigation. A state of emergency suggests that there should be a national action plan and there should be a sense of urgency in implementation. But it appears as if the more things change, the more they remain the same. Or are you getting a sense that even the first state of emergency declared on agriculture, during which an all-year-round cycle of planting season was to be implemented, are you getting a sense that things have changed by government's action?
The truth is, we are just scratching the issue, the symptoms. We are not really taking care of the elements. As it stands, the state of emergency on agriculture is not as it affects irrigation and other government reforms. There are quite positive government reforms that President Tinubu have for agriculture in this country in his time as the president. But the cardinal problem is all these reforms put in place and farmers cannot go to their farm because of militant headers that are marauding every place trying to take over their land, and because of insurgency and banditry, which is displacing people. Who are the people to go and take and implement these reforms? The situation as it stands now does not create an enabling environment. I was in Benue over the weekend, and I felt like crying by the humanitarian crisis I witnessed and saw in some of the IDP camps. Is these people in the IDP camps, are they the ones going to go and ensure that irrigation programs put in place are being utilized for productivity? What we are trying to say is that there is war. I don't know whether it is designed or whether it's being propelled by some external forces. But there is serious war, and this war is targeting at using food and food crisis to cripple this nation. And all we are doing, we are trying to look at issues that will come as secondary or tertiary. The primary focus and concern is that farmers cannot access their farm. For you to access your farm as a farmer, you have to decide between you being kidnapped for ransom or your family going on starvation. And men, as family has been what they are, may decide to sacrifice and endanger their life to ensure that they get food on the table for their family. But what I'm telling you is that that sacrifice will end up with their life, because most of the farmland have been taken over by, I hate to describe it as farmers-herders clashes. Farmers-herders clashes does not cover people that take over a community by midnight. People that carry AK-45 and other explosives to come and bomb a community. I do not feel comfortable describing it as farmer-herder crisis. There are other ulterior motives.
So,
and
Prof,
again, as a nation, let us be sincere to ourselves and face this problem as it is. Because
Prof,
from all indication, we seem to be shying away from the reality on ground. Thank you.
Prof, so if we're at war, shouldn't a state of emergency include a security component beyond the reforms for agriculture on the farms itself?
Thank you. Exactly the point I'm driving at. Because we are not seeing this intervention by government to tackle the insecurity of the farmland and in the hinterlands. And why I'm saying that we're at war with people we know or we don't know. So government should deploy every other arsenal to ensure that this problem is tackled. When it is tackled, we can now talk about other reforms in the agriculture. If we don't tackle this insecurity and we keep on moving and talking about reform in agriculture, we are paying lip service to the main issue, because we have refused to tackle the main issue. As it stands today, let's say from statistics, more than 78,000 farmers have been displaced in the Northwest in the past few years. As it stands today, more than 33.1 million of Nigerians are being exposed to, threatened to hunger and malnutrition. This is by Agricultural Organization report of March 2025. The report was released on 10th of March 2025. So what we are trying to say is that there is a problem, and this problem has been identified, but we have refused to accept and do what we are supposed to do as a nation. When a nation is on fire, when a nation is at war, most other development issues are suspended. We need to focus on, let us overcome and conquer these terrorists that have ulterior motive of ensuring that this our country does not exist and remain viable. If we don't do that, every other thing we are doing, we are paying lip service. Because farmers will have the confidence to go to their farm before they can utilize irrigation or other source of water supply that you need them to. What we are saying is that they cannot access their farm. And major communities are all displaced and are in IDPs. And it's a pathetic situation. It's a pathetic story. And I want you to understand that look at the indices we have in the last few years, 2024 indices, between 2023 and 2024. The cost of foodstuff have risen astronomically to the extent that you realize that ordinary tomato that we used to use for everyday meals in the house increased by 123%. The same thing cassava flour increased by 153% in the last 2 years. And with this, we begin to wonder. The adverse effect is on the populace, generality of the population who depend on their productivity in the farm. They could not get their source of money again. Their livelihood is destroyed. How do they meet up with this? One of the effects is that you will now see a lot of urban migration with increased criminality.
Right.
If people are displaced, they cannot work in their farms in the hinterlands. They'll move to the urban centers. And they'll come to urban centers, they don't have any source of living. It's either they decide to starve or they engage in criminality. And that's why we have upsurge in criminality in most of the urban centers. Even in our FCT today, you begin to hear of people snatching people's bag at night,
Prof.
or all these one-chance drivers. Yes, sir.
And that's a very vivid picture you have painted. Yes, and it looks like the food inflation figures don't even tell the full story, really. But it's great to understand the danger and the crisis that we're faced with. And I really hope that the right people are picking this up and doing the right things. But we have to thank you so much for giving us another angle to all of this, insecurity crisis. Professor Jude Major is a food activist and a professor at the University of Abuja and consultant at its veterinary teaching hospital. Thank you for your time, Prof. Well, we'll go on a quick break now, and when we return, we'll talk about the humanitarian situation in Benue State now. We've talked about the agriculture a bit, but let's now touch base with the people. That's in a moment. Stay with us.
And so the issues sort of glide into each other, from food security to where the location that used to be the food basket of the nation but looks more like a war front in recent times. And we're talking about another situation that begs the question about the state of security in Benue State. Joining us for this particular conversation is lawmaker representing Otukpo Akpa State constituency at the Benue State House of Assembly, Honorable Kennedy Angbo. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Honorable Angbo, good morning, and thank you so much for coming through on this one.
Good morning. My pleasure being on your show this morning.
So let's get straight into it. News coming through from Benue State is quite worrying. The Otobi crisis, we understand it's a violent attack and there have been some casualties recorded. Give us the backstory to this round of attack in Benue State.
Yeah, Otukpo particularly has been in the news since February this year, where 5 people were killed in Okpamaju. And then the last 2 weeks, particularly Otukpo, Asa 2, Asa 3 also have been in the news. And this also has to do with the killings of some of our constituents. Just last night, about 5:30 p.m. to past 7, 8 o'clock, headers invaded Otobi community and shot at people. They came in different companies and attacked from different flanks. Remember that also about 10 days ago, a security guard was shot at the Otobi Dam, where you have the Federal Ministry of Works, Water Resources Dam, Ed Dam. So this particular community has witnessed a surge in headers attacking the farmers. And so yesterday was the climax. But before that happened, some particular fellow by the name Ahmed Bashir had threatened on his social Facebook handle that his Akwa enemies should be prepared for war. And so essentially what we have in Benue, what we have in Otukpo going on right now is war. It's annexation, is an attempt to take over the lands of our people, because these people come and graze around, and they also rustle cattle of other Fulani men and Fulani headers in Otukpo. And I've had that report from credible Fulani people who live in Otukpo, who have been doing their businesses, that there are these criminal elements of Fulani headers who come in, rustle their cows, and they create crisis around Otukpo and giving them also bad name. So this is not a question of whether this is a we're suspecting or is a claim. This is facts from even the Fulani who have told us where they're coming from. They're coming from flanks from Nasarawa and the rest of it. So clearly, Benue is at war. The headers are at war with Benue. They are coming to take our lands. They are coming to kill people, drive people from their farmlands and uproot our crops and feed it to their cattle. That's the dire situation. That's how terrible it is. And the situation in Benue, to be particularly this one, is very appalling. It's gory. You see pictures of 10-year-olds killed, macheted badly. Adults, aged people killed, women killed, and this happened without the intervention, but just before the intervention of the police and the combined effort of the military police and the local vigilantes. But I can confirm to you this morning that one corpse was found, and it brings the total number of those of victims so far to 11. That's how terrible the situation is in Otugbo. And we're calling on the president, we're calling the IG of police to, yes.
No, land on your thought. I thought you were done.
Well, you cut me in, so I had to listen to you.
No, I thought you were done. So land on your thoughts so that I can ask the question.
So what we are doing right now is to draw the attention of the world, the attention of Mr. President, and also the IG of police and all the security agencies to send in personnel to Otugbo, to Zone C, to Benue State, to be able to curb this issue, because I think the issue of insecurity in Benue is being taken for granted. A lot of people are not paying attention to what's happening there. But there is a systemic cleansing, there is an ethnic cleansing of the people of Benue State. There is a deliberate effort to annex and take over the land of the people of Benue. And that should not have a place in democracy. That should not happen in Nigeria, and that completely should not be acceptable.
All right, so the scenario or the narrative seems to be similar to what's playing out on the plateau. And this is the middle belt region of the country, the north central, as it is referred to politically. And I'm wondering what exactly the effort of the state government, because everybody's calling on the federal government. Of course, the federal government has the military, has the police and all of that. But at a subnational level, what is being done between the state government and maybe the legislature like yourself to see how you can, before help comes, because it looks like help is not that close. And I'm beginning to wonder, like, what are people left to do? The administration of former Governor Tom, they said he used insecurity to mask poor governance. Those are some of the assertions I've heard. But this administration of Hyacinth Alia, the allegation I hear is more of trying to manage the crisis so that it doesn't look like it's really happening as much as it is. I don't know whether that is the situation or thing, but my question is, what is the subnational, the government of Benue State doing to address this headlong, frontally, and protect her people? We've seen the Plateau State governor even coming to apologize to say, look, we failed you when we're supposed to protect you. We will do better. But I don't know whether I've seen much from that, any of that from the Benue State governor.
Well, for me, this is no time for rhetorics. The last time I was here, you asked about the same question, and I told you that, yes, it's enough, we can lash out at the governors, but the truth of the matter is that the governors have their limitations, and that is the stark truth. Now, what we need to begin to do is that, have we tried to do things differently? They call for self-defense, and people taking, the director of DSS the other time told us that it's about time that the human capacity or the workforce of the security personnel is not enough to man Nigeria. And that's the stark reality before us. And so we need to begin to go back to the drawing boards and begin to ask ourselves, what exactly do we need to do? And I have offered my own opinion. My opinion is that communities must be engaged, communities must be equipped, and we must pass a legislation that allows for communities to defend themselves. Anything short of that, we would come back again and we'll talk about what are the subnationals doing, what is the federal government doing. And I can tell you, on the part of the governor, we were talking up until late midnight. As we speak, the deputy governor is in Otobi. We are also on our way shortly after this convention to Otobi as well. The governor has sent in the security agents, and like I mentioned earlier on, they swiftly moved in. Otherwise, the casualty would have increased more than what I just mentioned to you. That's how much the governor can do. But the thing is, when these people are coming, remember they come with a predisposed agenda. So they have already mapped out their plans. They have already given out, told themselves what to do. And because security is not, they are not some kind of scientists or people who you would say they can predict what would happen. They are not in the minds of these people, these marauders. And so what they can only do is to intervene when it does happen. Because the security people cannot be in all the locations at the same time. And like I said, what happened yesterday was that the moment they attacked Otobi, it wasn't from one flank, it was from different angles. And so it became very difficult for the people to even defend themselves. And so the call for self-defense, the call for people to have vigilantes that are fully armed and equipped to defend their land is the only panacea right now. And so we're talking about amending the Constitution. One of the things that should be on the front burner in that conversation is how should the people defend themselves? Because if we do not have people who are defending, who can defend themselves, then we would only be recounting losses every now and then. Like you said, the governor of Plateau State came out to say he apologized. He's apologizing because he's not a god. He cannot be everywhere at the same time. And so he would come back again. This attack will still happen in Plateau. It will still happen in Benue. It will still happen in Nasarawa and other parts of Nigeria. So it's not a question of what would the governor do. What are the governors are doing their best, but the personnel that man the society are not enough. And so community-based policing, community-based approach is the best approach for us so far.
Right.
And that's what I would advocate. And if we say we will keep running away from this, I can tell you that we would be here again by the coming weeks, and we'll see talk about maybe not for Benue, but from another state.
Well, Mr. Ambrose, and that's why we're having this conversation. And it's really sad that at this point we've still not been able to really pinpoint what group has been responsible or is fueling this. I mean, we're able to say Lakura, for example. No, we can't
pinpoint. Please.
Just a second. Pardon me to land, Mr. Ambo. So we can say in some parts of the north it's Lakurawa. We can say Bello Turji is the leader. But so far, the best terms we have used is militant herders, herdsmen, marauders. The governor of Plateau called them terrorists or sponsored by terrorists who are performing a genocide, land grabbing. So is this some sort of organized, and I say this advisedly, is this some sort of organized network? When you say herders, a lot of people conflate that with Fulani, but you have said that even Fulani are being attacked as well. So what is the specific tag to use for these people such that we're able to identify without conflating or mistaking them for another group, if you get my point?
I do get your point, but we would also not shy away from who we know are currently responsible for that. If there were Igbo headers, we would call them Igbo headers. But right now, you can only ask me to be diplomatic about this, but that is far from it.
No, I'm not asking you to be. Like I want you to say it brutally.
Yeah, like I told you, brutally. A Fulani constituent of mine told me this, that bad Fulanis, that was her word, bad Fulanis come into our communities and rustle their cows and begin to kill people and give them the Fulanis who reside in Usbu a bad name. And so yes, even the Fulanis have identified them that these are people. I mean, the other day you heard Senator Shehu Sani admonishing some urban elites of the Fulani people that their names have been tagged and they are already being profiled. And that's the kind of conversation we want to see, that some people need to dissociate themselves from it, and then we can now brand them as terrorists. And so once we have that, and I can also mention this to you for free, that after the attack that happened 2 weeks ago, you remember the bus, Benue Link's bus was also, the driver was killed, and some 3 passengers also were killed, and 13 passengers were abducted. When those boys were arrested, in fact, suffice to say that the arrest that happened, we have credible intel that part of the success of that is the fact that those Fulanis who are legitimately doing their businesses provided the intel that these are the people who are causing problems, and mentioned about 5 of those people. And when they arrested them, these are sets of people that had previously been arrested, handed over to the police, and had been bailed. And so we need to criminalize the action and activities of these herders. We need to, because they are criminals, they are terrorists, they are terrorizing our people. And that's what it is. It's nothing short of that.
Indeed,
so
Mr.
if we
Ambo.
give it any other name or any other coloration, we're only playing to the gallery.
So I'm glad you have said that, and the onus is on security to follow up with this. But tell me, is Benue State safe? Because I saw a response from Governor Alia to Mr. Obi saying, well, if you're planning to visit, I can't guarantee your safety. And he said that clearly. And he also said, if you want to visit IDPs, you must get written consent. But in terms of safety, is Benue State safe? Because that statement may be misconstrued.
To the extent of safety, yes, Benue State is safe. Now, the fact that they're killing people in Nigeria, should that now deter, or should we now say Nigeria is not safe? Nigeria is safe. But then there are killings going on even in the most safe and secure place you would want to term, including Abuja here. So to the extent of your question, yes, Benue is safe. But then if you are coming to visit a state, and like Peter B. clearly agreed, there's a need for him to have reached out to the governor. And so I can tell you that Benue is safe, but then the context within which that happened is completely different from what we're discussing now. And yes, Benue is safe, and as I speak to you, I'm heading to Benue. As I'm speaking to you, there are people living in Benue. As I'm speaking to you, your people, including your men and crew, live in Benue, and they also can tell you that they are safe. So yes, Benue is safe, but we have targeted attacks going on because those areas provide a safe haven for their cattle. They think that the lush vegetation, the availability of water and farmlands for them to graze their cattle is there. And so what is now the crux of the matter is the fact that when these people come in here, they are contending with the resources that our people use. They're contending with the same farmlands that we're using to farm. They're contending with the same sources of water we use to drink. And so that is the bane of the crisis we have. And until that is addressed, which is i.e., Benue has a law which prohibits open grazing. And that law must be adhered to stricto sensu. What are we doing about that? It is until that we criminalize people who infringe on such laws, this will not stop. Because these herders move about and the law is not catching up with them. And, yes.
Pardon me, we must end this segment now. And this is by no means the end of the conversation, because you have thrown up a lot of debatable issues. Getting the permission before a politician comes to Benue, the efficacy of the subnationals to managing these situations. We certainly must have you return to the program such that we can thrash these issues in a more effective manner. We've been talking with Honorable Kennedy Angbo, member representing Otukpo Anfa State constituency at the Benue State House of Assembly. Thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me, and good morning.
And there's more to come on the program. This time we'll be looking at your role as a citizen to helping the security situation. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Welcome back. We're not done with the issue around insecurity in that sense, but this time, what can the people do for themselves? It's a big question. We're being joined in the program by former Deputy Inspector General of Police, Leye Oyebade, joining us virtually from Plateau State, and also right here in our Lagos studios, Mr. Felix Olorunda, MD CEO, SSV Protection Services Limited. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right, let me start with you, former DIG, on this particular subject matter. Let me just give you some nuances we're getting from government. Literally all the state governments are saying they need help from the federal government because the federal government commands the military and security apparatus in the country, We just got off the conversation with a member in the Benue State House of Assembly trying to say that there's little or much, this much that the government can do in that sense. And saying the security agencies must be proactive. They are calling for state police and all whatnot. So literally, like, the citizens are left to little or no option. When you see this kind of picture, how does it come to you? Does it bother you?
Thank you so much. It does. And let me lay a foundation. I will be talking personally. These are my views. Because if I have to speak to the leadership, being a directing staff at NIFS, I have the opportunity to do that. Now, when we are talking about security, let me look at it from what I was told when I was young. When you want to kill a tree, kill it. That's why I use the kill. You want to uproot it, you go to the root. So what are we going to do to get to the root? The root of the problem, we need everybody to be involved. Now, there must be community participation. Everybody must be accountable. We must talk of active political engagement. That is what is happening, is ongoing now. We must be ready. There must be practical, there must be consciousness, the sacrifice. Everybody must be ready to safeguard our local communities. There must be the support system from all and sundry, even touching on governance and every civil responsibility, every sector of the society must be involved. So when we look at it from that perspective, now you will now see that it's going to be from bottom to up, and that is why it is community policing driven. That is the key. And the three legs of community policing, I have said it on this program some time ago. The three legs, they are very simple. You talk of community partnership, you talk of organizational transformation, and then it is problem solving. By the time we go around all of this, you see that everybody will be involved. The key word here is commitment, planning, and after planning, implementation. There are a lot of works that have been done in time past. I have it on record from the NIFS that I am a directing staff on every situation that we are confronted. And the cause of all these things have been addressed by the reports. What are the causes? Unemployment. What are the causes? Food insecurity. What are part of the causes? Youth restiveness, unemployment rates. And these have been addressed by a lot of senior executive courses that have been asked to do research, the thorough research, and the reports are aligned with the government. So when we address all these issues, these are the conserving factors. You address the last senior executive course here, address digital economy. How can we use our digital economy to get sustainable development of the youth and empower our youth, for youth empowerment? You discuss food insecurity, the reports are there. And then when you now come to engaging the locals, it is everybody that must be involved. Let's go to a village setup. The DPO must be able to have at his own fingertips every security stakeholder that is relevant to manage the security at that environment. And who are these people? The traditional rulers, the CSO of all the secondary and all the universities in that environment, the allies, everybody. Then all the need for people to be conscious of their security. So it's about intelligence gathering and management of intelligence again. In all our locals, you see a strange thing, don't just keep quiet. Yeah. Let everybody talk. Police cannot police every nook and cranny. We have ungoverned spaces, and these ungoverned spaces can only be covered with technology driven that the IG, I know, is doing a lot in that direction, and with a lot of commitment from the locals, the hunters. The DPO will arrange everybody at that local environment to be able to wake up, manage information, the need, yes, and the need to share. So we'll be able to get out of this food.
All right, fantastic point you've raised. Let's expand the conversation and bring it to the studios right here. Mr. Lorunda, yes. Similar questions I'm asking because it appears people are just helpless. People are, even the security agencies, they are stretched. The word is overstretched. We have too many ungoverned spaces. So there are so many things that we need to look at in the entire metrics. But we're trying to see how people can help themselves. People are even suggesting that we may start arming the people in the locality because I can't just be on my bed and you come and kill me. I need to protect myself. So do you subscribe to that, or is it too early for that call?
No, I think that's the clear way to go right now. Because the people in the communities, thank God we now have local government autonomy, and they now have more resources. So they should channel that resources to securing the local community. You can't be depending on federal government, calling on the president. If local communities are attacked in Benue, in Benue State, you are calling on the president in Abuja. What of the subnationals? What of the local government chairmen? What are they doing? So the local government chairman has to rise to the occasion with the resources now that they have because of the local government autonomy that we now have. So they channeled part of that resource that they have into securing those local communities. Those local communities now need to raise their first line of defense to protect their communities. You can't just allow invaders to come and take over your communities, kill your innocent wife and children, and occupy your central homes. It doesn't make sense. You have to do everything to fight and make sure that you secure your environment. And we have people who have served in the armed forces, the police, who have retired, who are living in those communities. Look at the former NYSC director that was kidnapped in Katsina State. He was just at home. He was a brigadier general. He was kidnapped. He was kept in the, just free recently. And we now have the security national security. We're going from one place to another to go and, free kidnap, those who have been free from kidnap. That's not what we should be having. We should have local communities who are empowered to secure the environment. They can't depend on federal government to do that for them. And how many men do we have in the armed forces? We have about 230 men serving the armed forces, men and women serving now. So how do they think that police control and secure all the communities in Nigeria? It's not possible.
So local communities that are empowered to contribute their quota to securing their environment also suggest to me the need for them to be economically empowered as well, such that they do not accept security from terrorists. And we've seen these play out in the Northeast and in the North Central, where they are compelled to pay taxes such that the terrorists can't protect them. So pardon me, I'm going to have to take this back to the doorstep of the subnationals yet again. There have been calls in the last few segments that the state governments should subscribe to local policing. But we've seen some form of local policing from state government. We've seen the Southwest Security Initiative that is not evenly distributed in the Southwest. Yeah. We've seen some of the other northern governors put up their own security initiatives as well. I'm asking you this, former DIG, shouldn't we begin to ask questions of the security votes of the subnationals? How effectively is this security vote being, judiciously spent? I'm asking you this. Yes, sir. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So what I can say to that is local communities, look, we have to now interrogate. There was a time we were talking about high cost of governance. And that, let me tell you, I serve in the military. I serve in the Nigerian Army, retired military officer. And I know that the Nigerian Army, the people that we have on the field, they are not motivated. Because you find out, and the press can interrogate this, that when someone serves in the army for 35 years, what you get as your terminal benefit is what the political leaders take in a month in the parliament. Let's go and interrogate it. Let's go and, So how can you have those men that are not, because we are talking of the economy of, and when these people retire, they go back to the villages to go and stay. And those are the people that the Marunda will go and kidnap their children, their wives. So we have a whole lot of issues that we need to deal with if we must get to the root of this insecurity in Nigeria. So the communities are not empowered economically. If you want to see poverty working on these two legs, go to the local communities, not in Lagos, where people still manage to survive. In those local communities, you can see poverty, 5,000 means so much to people living in the community, because everybody there, poverty is like a common denominator in those local environments in Nigeria, in any part of Nigeria. Go and look at it. Go and do. So now, with those people who are poverty striking, and they are now have to contend with this level of insecurity, they can't go to farm. Their mainstay is to go to farm to go and see what they can get. And now, in my own community where I come from, Ondo State, at the time, the farmer could go to farm until Amotekun came with the former late governor. And now there's not an upgrade of that. That's why you see a relapse in Ondo State that's happening. So this issue has to be deeply interrogated going forward.
That's a fantastic point, Dr. Lorinda. Let me take this to Mr. Oyebade and maybe get to speak to specifics now, because you talked about the policy bit, how this is multifaceted, and that's understandable. You know, security is not just one facet. There are different things that contribute to it. But we have a present challenge, Mr. Oyebade. And, you know, when Dr. Lorinda talked about the local governments, for example, they'll tell you that they are still struggling to get this autonomy. They're still in court. You know, they're still back and forth. For the states, they'll tell you, well, we need state police. Let's have some sort of, let's be able to get AK-47s. Let's be able to get good weapons to defend ourselves in that sense. But the federal government, or at least the federal governance structure, has not been able to deliver that from the National Assembly before it now comes to, you know, the different states to vote on for a constitutional amendment. So, Mr. Oyebade, why is it tough for us to say, this is our security challenge, this is what we need to do to it, and let us do it?
All right, let me quickly say 3 things that are very, very, very important. Now, resilience is built by awareness. Commitment is built by having trust and confidence in the leadership. And leadership must have the political will to drive the process. So let's pick them one by one. Everybody must develop that resilience. With that commitment from the local level, you don't have to wait. That is why we are saying we have to now know your neighbors. Who are the people in that environment that is not that is new? What is happening newly that is affecting the system? Then bring it to the knowledge of the people in the environment that are security operatives.
But Mr. Oyebade, these people in Plateau and Benue, pardon me, they're not being attacked by their neighbors. Okay, it is said that these people come from outside, invaders. They come in, attack them in the night, sometimes during the day, and they're out, or they grab the land, as has been said.
I have talked about management of intelligence. Let me tell you, before any criminal will act, they have their own planning. They must plan. So what proactive measures have the community put in place to proactively defend themselves? That is the proper planning that prevents poor performance. Every local environment must plan ahead. And that is why I have given that advice, that every community must strengthen their security network from that local base by every security stakeholder that is involved. Everybody must be involved. So when you now have the information, you now have the need to share and who to share the information. If that is done, you see, when we talk about awareness, we were on an assignment here, and we went to Eswatini when we were interrogating this community policing strategy. In the primary school, they have police club. How are we teaching even the youths, our young ones? Are they politically aware of the challenges we are facing? There must be awareness from the bottom. In those days, literary and debating, we teach civics. So it's a reorientation from the grassroots.
Oh dear. Wow. We wish we can get him back to conclude his thoughts. Mr. Leye Oyebade, former Deputy Inspector General of Police, but
political awareness, all the voters, all the teachers, all the local traditional leaders, everybody is relevant in this assignment. And by the time everybody is able to get to know that I am also involved, I am aware that my contribution will make a difference. You will get the information, you will not keep the information, you will pass it to the right authority. And let's quickly talk about the synergy. The synergy must be improved upon by all the security agencies involved. I started the community policing implementation, And we were able to gather more of this collaboration from the grassroots level. We need to improve on that. And not only that, I have said also that there must be public partnership. There must be private partnership. And that is what is working in Lagos. When you look at the Lagos environment, you see the security arrangement there is classy and is working. We can take that model and let it cascade down to every route and everywhere in this country, that we should have a robust security arrangement that everybody is aware and everybody is contributing. The patriotism level will be raised, and we all know that we are doing it. What are the other countries doing that they are getting it?
All right, DIG.
Do we have that? We need data to address every issue. All the modern crimes, what happened, and lessons learned. When we have the first mass sinning, what led to, what caused it? Are we able to go back and check our history and retract our steps and take lessons learned to profile solutions for a better Nigeria? That is the way to go.
All right, former DIG Omos, thank you so much. Quite apt, those positions. And of course, I'm sure you're also talking about intelligence-driven policing this time, because we had a conversation with an activist or politician yesterday talking about the DSS is dropping rather than countering attacks in this scale, in that sense. We're going to talk about intelligence-driven policing maybe on another time on the program. Leye Oyebade is a former DIG of the police, joining us virtually from Plateau State. Also, Dr. Felix Olorunda is the MDC of SSV Protection Services Limited, who joined us right here in our Lagos City. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get to the softer side of things. We're going to talk with an actor and a filmmaker right here in just a moment. Join us again.
Let's take a breather, shall we? Yes, there are issues we have to absolutely confront, and we've tried as much as possible to tackle them. That's not the end to it. But let's take a look at what's happening on the softer side of things, as we always do on the show. We're turning our attention to the big screens. Now we have two gentlemen who sort of have two paths in life, or they had two paths, and they chose, well, maybe let me step away from one and pursue the other. First, we have joining us Israel Osu-Danso, who is an actor, joins us from Liberia this morning. He's an aviation administrator who's now an actor. Good morning, Israel. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Good morning, Patrick. It is a pleasure being here this morning. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world.
Good morning, Israel. This is Kayode, by the way, speaking with you. And you have such an interesting story. You have a major relationship with Nigeria as well, having participated in the movie star reality show, your third runner-up. I believe at that time you've also acted in Nollywood. But I'm interested in your origin story, as a sense. You're not a villain here, you're a superhero, right? Tell us, aviation administrator, acting, how did that happen?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I started off as an actor, and basically, well, if I am to start from the beginning, I started as a public servant in the Liberian Army. That's where I started from. I served the Liberian Army for like 10 years. And then after that, I had to resign and go on to Nigeria. I went to Nigeria, and there I continued representing my country, where I represented Liberia at the next movie star acting competition in Nigeria. And at the end of that competition, I was pitted against 7 Nigerians in the grand finale. And as God could have it, we were able to emerge third runner-up, and we won 2 other prizes, Mr. Game Changer and the most photogenic contestant of that show. But usually, as things go, when I came back to Liberia after the competition, I had several contracts in Nigeria to pursue. So I was back and forth, and I had to resign my job. And then I left. I went to Nigeria. I did some movies there, and then eventually I had to come back home because, you know, if Nigeria is not home,
No
if Nigeria
way.
is not home, you have to.
Okay, we can hear you
Can you
now.
hear me?
Yeah, we lost you at that point where you made that very vital point, because we always love to welcome everyone. So please take it up from Nigeria is now home. Say it again for the people at the back to hear.
If Nigeria is not home, you have to get back home, you know, to reconsolidate your base and continue moving ahead in life. So I came back to reconsolidate my base. And back home in Liberia, the industry is a very, very budding one. It's still young. It's not as vibrant as, you know, Nollywood is. So we are basically starting from scratch, you know, having people like Atu Spring who came out of here and went to Nigeria and, you know, made it big. Julia Abraham, who left here, went to Nigeria, made it big. And currently, Eddie Watson out there making it big. And we have several Liberians out there. So our industry out there is a very young one.
Right.
Great talent waiting to be explored. So it's not as vibrant as Nollywood, where when I'm in Nigeria, I'm on set every day out here. I get to add 2-3 movies every year. And so I had to find a day's job. That's when I started exploring the aviation sector. Currently, I serve as an aviation administrator at the Liberia Airport Authority. And I'm still acting, though. We recently released a movie called No, Not Me that showcases the female genital mutilation crisis across Africa.
All right.
As well as street urchins, you know, in our various communities across Africa. And that movie, I acted alongside Atu Frank, and it's being premiered currently across the U.S.
Oh, that's beautiful, Israel. You know, I thought you had said Nigeria is now home, but it just hit me. You said Nigeria is not home. So it was a heartbreak moment for me, but it's understandable, and it's great to hear about the work that you're doing in Liberia. And hey, every industry started from a place. Even the Hollywood that we know about started from a tiny place. Now it speaks. So it speaks of greater things to happen. But I'll come back to you in a moment, because we have joining us from our Abuja studio here in Nigeria, Thompson Makolo Jr., who's a filmmaker, actor, and compare. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Brief. You also have a very interesting story. It's okay. These things happen from time to time. You have an interesting story, right? From the medical line, then you went into acting. What's going on? It looks like acting is not something you should just rely on. But is your own story different?
All right, Claudia, thank you very much for having me. I'm so glad to be here today. Good morning, Nigerians. For me, I was born to act. I was born to make film. I was born to tell stories. Like you said, initially, my father wanted me to go study medicine. But as life would have it, as time would have it, as stories would have it, he passed on in 2004, and the hope to push for what he wanted me to do couldn't come to pass again, and I decided to find my own path. And that began my journey in 2004, from the street of Anyigba down to the city of Makurdi, to Lafia in Nasarawa State, to Abuja, to Lagos, back home in Kogi, out of Kogi to Asaba, and now we are here. So for me, film is life.
Tell us about the bell, please. Thompson, are you headmaster? Yes. What's up with the bell? I know Akbako Master has a bell, but Thompson also has his bell. What's this bell about?
Yes, this bell is an attention seeker. Please, attention, everyone. You know what the bell represents.
Yeah.
You know, once you hear the bells, that means you are needed. So we have the bell as a signature for my new project, Oyoma, the voice of old. And we're calling for the attention of everyone in Nigeria and for everyone on the continent of Africa, and of course, the entire globe. We have something to tell you, so that's why we're having the bell.
Are we going to survive this bell today, Bukola?
And you definitely got our attention. Interesting, from medicine to acting. Fantastic. And there are a number of, mechanical engineers who have become content creators. But let's talk about the industry itself. There's a foray, of a number of, okay, first of all, talk to us about your current project before we expand into the social issues in Nollywood.
Okay, yes, we have a current project titled Oyoma, The Voice of Old. It is one of our biggest exports yet into the Nigerian film industry from Kogi State and, of course, particularly the Igala Kingdom, the 9th largest ethnic group in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This film tells our story. It tells the story of the Igala people and the Idoma people, both in north-central Nigeria. It tells the story of a kingdom with an impending doom, as revealed by the gods to the kingdom diviner, the Uyugata, for lack of traditional adherence by the king. So this is our newest project, and it tells our story. It means so much to us. It brings us to the fore. It brings us to the globe, and it helps to add majorly to the values of the Nigerian film industry, both at home and in the diaspora.
I'm looking forward to seeing the movie already. Some of the scenes are quite compelling. But let's take it to Israel, who is joining us from Liberia. Talk to us about, well, first of all, I'd like to own the vibrance that you credit to Nollywood and the prolific outlook that we have. And we hope to infect Lollywood with some of it as well. But I know that there have been some partnerships with Lollywood and Nollywood actors in the recent past with awards and, you know, an exchange sort of. How has that impacted, you know, on the Lollywood space, and what are the things that, you know, your own film space is taking from these partnerships?
Oh, basically, these partnerships they are really, really forthcoming, and we are really grateful for such partnerships. As I talk to you, currently we have 2 young actors in Nigeria right now who are really exploring their talents in Nigeria. We have Steve Austin, we have Austin Kokoli out there, and then we have Alpha Charlie out there, as well as, you know, Eddie Wasi is sourcing a new breed of actors from all across the continent. And we've been in touch, and we're trying to, you know, make things work. And the storytelling of actors and filmmakers is just a dynamic and great. So doing things that we have a lot of here that we are about to, you know, cross over onto Hollywood and collaborate. As I'm talking to you, the president of the Latin Union is what last interview, and the plans are very. You're gonna have them back here and probably for in between Liberia, and Hollywood.
Oh dear. I don't know what's going on with our Liberian brother, Owusu Danso. I wanted to ask him a few more questions as we begin to wind down. But also, in case you can hear us, we're having connection issues. So we'll come back to you in just a moment. Let's come back to Makolo. Yes, most of the time when we talk about movies, it's very Lagos-centric, of course. It's the commercial capital of Nigeria. Is the center, is the epicenter of a lot of things. Literally, I call it the gateway, even though my colleagues from Ogun State will argue with that, but Lagos is actually the gateway state. So tell us why this is important as a movie. Are you trying to make a significant statement in making an inroad across the country by telling this story as seen from the eyes of the people from the north?
Okay. All right, thank you very much, Geoffrey. Storytelling comes from everywhere. Lagos, of course, is Lagos. Lagos is the capital of entertainment on the African continent. Nobody can argue that. But if we're going to be telling the Nigerian story, it can be told from everywhere. And we choose to make a large contribution to the Nigerian film industry coming from the north-central axis. Because the Nigerian film industry is quite wide, it's open, and nations have to tell their stories. And we have some of the biggest stories on the continent. The Igala people of Nigeria from Kogi State have some of the biggest stories. And we must begin to bring our own stories to the fore, tell it, with the best of quality, tell it with the right narratives, and make our own contribution to the overall cultural growth and preservation of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and of course the African continent.
All right, let's take it back to also. Also, for a moment, we couldn't hear you, got a network connection. So, what is the Liberian film industry learning from Nigeria? I'll give you one, for instance, for the records. The Nollywood you celebrate today and the music industry that Africa celebrates today evolved in spite of the government. It wasn't as if the government did anything to make it grow. But government now cashed in when the guys built it from ground zero to a large extent. So what exactly is your industry learning that you can use as maybe a pivot to be able to climb and become a force to reckon with in West Africa?
Currently, the industry has come to the understanding that government is not going to come to your rescue as an entertainer, because most basically government looks at you as a very small player in the economy. So we have adapted to the acts of collaborations with each other. You will find 2-3 directors and producers coming together, joining forces to produce a very good project that tells a great story, and then gradually we do that, and then we put on the market, we market it, and, we recoup our gains and recoup our profits and move on to the next project. So that is something that I learned in Nollywood while I was there. I remember being on movie set, and I would see 2, 3, 4, 5 other producers and directors visiting that set, to scout talent from, these directors, production. And that is something that I brought back to Liberia, and that is something we introduced here, and that is something we are using, to allow this industry to grow, because you have to grow to a certain extent before government will call you in and consider you as a major player in the national economy.
All right. Well, I'd like to bring this to both of you, but starting with Makolo. This foray into Nollywood, it seems like there's, an army of interested people in Nollywood, and there's an abundance of talent, no doubt. But the concern is, just like in other associations where, other professional fields where there are associations, that vet the people that come in, there seems to be nothing like that. It seems like it's an all-comers affair into Nollywood. Thomas, I'd like you to respond to that. Thompson, rather.
Okay, I don't think that is completely true. The Nigerian film industry has some regulators, guilds that regulate the practices in the industry. We have the Actors Guild of Nigeria, which is the actors arm. We have the Directors Guild of Nigeria. You have the Producers Guild. You have the Writers Guild. So it is not an all-commerce affair. Why it makes it look like it's an all-commerce affair is the fact that talent is open. Okay, so this is not you going to school to study it before you are able to come and apply for a job. It's nothing, very formal. I don't have to come to your office to come and say, okay, this is my application, I want to work for you. Okay, so it's like you knowing how to play football. You don't have to go to any office to go and say, okay, I know how to play football, please hire me. You play from the field, right? And you are able to find the structure on how you are able to grow your career. So the same thing, it is applicable to Nollywood. As an actor, you know where you belong. As a producer, you know where you belong. As a director, you know where you belong. And of course, the government have agencies who also regulate the activities of the industry. Right. For instance, the National Film and Video Censors Board regulates and rates films. So you cannot just make a film and say, okay, I've made a film and I throw it out. For instance, Oyoma was produced by me, and it went through the process of being rated by the National Film and Video Censors Board. So this is not me just making a film and just throwing it to the audience. No, this is me making a film and going through the channel again. All right, so the government, this is what I have done. Look at it and give it a rating, and this is something see whether it is consumable by the audience or not.
Well, this is a body of work that we look forward to seeing from both of you, by the way, and it's great. I want to do some matchmaking and say we look forward to both of you being in the same movie together, working on a project. But we have to thank you so much, Thompson Makolo Jr., a filmmaker, actor, and compare. This man does a lot of things.
And medical doctor, you might want to add.
He didn't pursue that, actually. And we also have joining us Israel Owusu, dancer, an actor from Liberia. Gentlemen, we appreciate your time on the show.
Thank you so much.
So in filmmaking, there's a cut. So we have to cut at this point on the show. But not to worry, Channels Television continues with Sunrise Daily. I'm Kayode Okikilo. Thank you for joining us.
And I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Bye-bye.
We'll be back again tomorrow. I'm Bukola Koka. Bye now.